Alright guys, I'm gonna be honest with you, this is not what I had on my agenda to make for a prismatic build, but it is one of the strongest builds in the game for the Warlock. This build is going to consist of you permanently being Radiant, having Amplified, having Devour, having an Arc Soul, and having stasis turrets everywhere on the battlefield. The synergies and combinations that you can do with this build is honestly unlike anything I've ever seen in Destiny before, so definitely be sure to stick around so you can learn everything. I will have more prismatic builds coming out soon, and I've already started working on just kind of an all-around prismatic build for the Warlock, and I think that one is also great. And really quick, before we jump into this, I want to say thank you all so much for the support on my video yesterday. I was a little scared starting off making a solo build with prismatic being released, but you all seem to love it, and that build is also so strong. I'm happy all of you are enjoying it, and I hope you all can enjoy this one as well. Thank you all so much for the support. All right, starting off, I know it looks weird because we're going to be running Getaway Artist of all things. This has the exotic perk Dynamic Duo. Convert your Arc Grenade into an Arc Soul and become Amplified. The Arc Soul functions as an autonomous turret. So this one is pretty easy to understand. You just consume your grenade, you get an Arc Soul, and you become Amplified. Both of those are going to have really great benefits with this setup. What's really cool about Prismatic is, first off, you need to make sure you're running Arc Grenade, so just throw Storm Grenade on, because if you run any other grenade, you can't actually consume it, but if you run Storm Grenade, you can consume that Arc Grenade. You will still get the Arc Soul, and you still will be Amplified, but what is very sick is that if you run Bleak Watcher, this will actually also spawn a turret every time you consume your grenade. So now not only are you granting yourself an Arc Soul, you're also making a turret, and what's really cool about Getaway Artist is that they have a secret effect that when your Arc Soul deals damage to an enemy, it will grant you grenade energy. So your Arc Soul is constantly refunding your grenade, so you can consume it again to reproc Amplify, reproc your Arc Soul, but every single time you do that, you're making a stasis turret. If you've loved stasis turret builds in the past where you try to get out as many as possible, I promise you this was going to get out even more than those, and it is absolutely disgusting. Another thing to note is that your Arc Soul also can do a ton of damage. The Arc Soul does not count as grenade damage, even though it consumes your grenade, but it will count as ability damage, and that will play heavily into the rest of our build. And speaking of that, our next aspect we're going to take is Feed the Void. So defeat a target with an ability to activate Devour. Your Devour effects are improved, restoring additional health and grenade energy. So with Feed the Void, obviously if you get a kill with your grenade or melee or super, you'll proc Devour, but the really cool part about it is that your Arc Soul can also proc Devour. So when you consume your grenade, let your Arc Soul get a kill, you're going to be granted that Devour. With Feed the Void, the Devour effect is going to be buffed on the Warlock. You're going to heal to max and get more grenade energy than normal Devour, and that paired with the fact that Arc Soul doing damage grants you grenade energy means you can spam grenades even more. And then once again, with all of that, that's going to lead you to have so many turrets on the battlefield. For your other abilities in your kit, I would recommend Phoenix Dive since this has the lowest cooldown. This will also play into some of our armor mods. On top of that, I like Arcane Needle because you get 3 melee charges. This will also apply on Unravel, which just means more damage. It's probably going to be the best Warlock melee for almost all the prismatic builds you're going to see, unless there's something super unique that just synergizes with something. Just as a base though, Arcane Needle is pretty much always going to be the way to go. And then for your super, you could take absolutely anyone that you want to. It doesn't matter whatsoever. I would highly recommend either Needle Storm or Nova Bomb just for max damage. And if you want to take the new super Song of Flame, this is also very good. But again, with Song of Flame, you're going to get that solar grenade when you pop it, and you kind of want to have your Arc Grenade for Arc Soul. So I would definitely lean towards Nova Bomb or Needle Storm, and Nova Bomb is actually pretty decent now. Now for your fragments, first off, we're going to be taking Facet of Ruin. So increases the size and damage of the burst when you shatter a stasis crystal or frozen target, and increases the area of effect of solar ignitions. This is obviously going to be very nice because with the amount of stasis turrets that we have on the battlefield, we're going to be freezing a lot of people. So every time we kill those frozen targets, the AoE is going to be bigger, it's going to do more damage, which just equals to more ad clear. Our next fragment is going to be Facet of Sacrifice. So while you have an Arc Solar or Void buff, ability Final Blows grant bonus Darkness Transcendence energy. This is extremely nice because you're always going to have Amplified, Radiant, and Devour with this build, so this is always going to be proc. So every single time your Arc Soul gets a kill, since that counts as an ability, it is going to grant you extra darkness energy. Since Arc is also doing light damage, every single time your Arc Soul's dealing damage, it's also going to be getting light energy, so it essentially is just going to be buffing both things like a kinetic weapon, and it makes your Arc Soul even stronger. And we're also going to make our Arc Soul even stronger with Facet of Courage, so your Arc Solar and Void abilities deal increased damage to targets afflicted with darkness debuffs. What's really sick about this is not only do you have your melee to spread Unravel around, but your turret is also applying slow, so that means you're applying a darkness debuff. Your Arc Soul will deal more damage to these debuff targets, and then if you're running something like Nova Bomb, that will also do more damage. So I would definitely definitely lean more towards Nova, even over Needlestorm. Our next fragment is going to be Facet of Hope. So while you have an elemental buff, your class ability regenerates more quickly. Once again, we're always going to have an elemental buff with Devour and Amplified, so this is just a nice passive regeneration for our class ability, and again, that will play into some of our armor mods. And then finally, we're just going to have Facet of Protection, so while surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage, while Transcendent, this effect is increased. Now, other ways we're going to amplify this build is actually going to be with our artifact. First off, we're going to have Radiant Orb, so if we pick up an orb, we become Radiant. This is just nice for damage buff, can obviously also play into some of our other fragments. One of the main ones is going to be Galvanaic Armor, so when you have an Arc or Prismatic subclass equipped, you will get damage resistance while you're amplified. The really cool thing is that when you consume your Arc Grenade, this will make you amplify, and since you can consume it all the time, you're going to be amplified 24/7, so you're always going to have this damage resistance pair with everything else in the build. The next one is going to be Shield Crush, so whenever you have Woven Mail Froststorm or Overshield, you will get more melee damage and melee regeneration. If you have Amplified or Radiant, you get more grenade regeneration and damage. The top part for the melee doesn't matter at all, but since you're always going to be amplified, this just means Getaway Artist is now going to passively give you more grenade energy. The damage doesn't matter, but again, the more grenades you can spam, the more turrets you can have up, and just the more damage reduction, everything else you're going to have playing into this build. Nothing else matters too much. If you want to take something like Transference, you can, but honestly, I don't really like taking this because I don't want to be Transcendent that much unless there's like a super sticky situation, because I want to be able to spam these turrets all the time. You can take Transference if you want to, but these are definitely going to be your big three. And just as a quick little mention, I don't want to make a whole section for it. Your weapons literally don't matter with this build whatsoever, since your Arc Soul can kill everything. I would highly recommend just taking a kinetic weapon so you can split that Transcendence energy up. But again, just run whatever's in the meta. It doesn't really matter so much. I have been loving Outbreak though. Now for stats and armor mods, 100 resilience is for sure the way to go to get that damage reduction. This will stack with things like Galvanaic Armor. You want 100 discipline as well, so you can spam your grenades even more, so you consume them all the time, make more turrets. And then I like to go with 100 recovery because again, with our armor mods, you will get some benefits out of your class ability, and with things like Fast of Hope, you're just going to get this a lot faster. If you want to go into melee, you absolutely could to throw your unravels more, but I mainly just throw Arcane Needle the first charge. You don't really need to ever use this other than just the first charge. You just want to spread the unravel, so that's why I tend to go with these three. Now for armor mods on your helmet, I just take a kinetic siphon so I can make Orbs power with whatever weapon I'm running. You can obviously swap this out if you're not running kinetic, and then a heavy ammo finder and a heavy ammo scout just so I can make more ammo for my teammates. Nothing else in your helmet really matters too much, since the whole point is just to consume your grenade all the time. Now for your arms, I like to take a kinetic gloater, again swap this out for whatever element weapon you're running, and then also your grenade kickstart. This is going to be based on armor charge, but every single time you consume your grenade, you will get more grenade energy back, which again means more arc souls and more turrets, which is just very, very good. Now for your chest piece, definitely just run whatever resist mods on the content you're going into. And then for your boots, I like to take a recuperation, a better already, and an innervation. These are just good for your survivability. You do have Devour, but if you are taking damage, you see an orb on the ground, you can pick an orb up, you're going to get a little chunk of health, you're going to start your health regeneration, and then with innervation, you're also going to get grenade energy. Again, you can spam more turrets and more arc souls. Then finally, I like to take a bomber because we are going to use our class ability a lot. This grants you even more grenade energy. Things like powerful attractions also nice, so you can pick up orbs every single time you use your class ability. This is nice because you can proc all these perks right here. Again, you will be able to spam your class ability a lot with this build. And then also a Reaper, so every time I get a kill after a class ability, I will make an orb of power. Again, orbs are going to be good for pretty much everything in this build, for armor charge, for your boots, and that is pretty much the whole setup. And now for the most important part of the build, this is the Transmog. Obviously, I got some of the new D&D armor, and I paired this with some of the Season of the Deep armor. It looks absolutely crazy. This to me is what I envision as the Arc Soul playstyle. You're just making everything else do your work for you. It's doing all your bidding, and it is so much fun. So if you want to make your Warlock look like this, definitely be sure to copy it down. But all right, that is going to do it for my first Prismatic build on the Warlock. Like I said in the beginning, I will have another all-around build coming out very, very soon. This build is a ton of fun, and it's honestly one of the strongest builds in the game. Having all those turrets up, having all those Arc Souls, you're just absolutely obliterating an entire battlefield. And when it comes to unique combinations for Prismatic, this is exactly what I was hoping for when they first announced it. Let me know what you think about the build in the comments below, but that's going to do it all for me. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all enjoying Final Shape, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.